coronavirus. Facts, not fear, starts now.
Good evening. I'm Caroline Goggin from WPRI in Providence, Rhode Island. Thank you for joining us. Lockdown is the word for today, with 3 states, California, New York, and Illinois, shutting down their states to battle the coronavirus. Here are some of the biggest headlines from today. According to the CDC, there are more than 15,000 cases nationwide. There are more than 200 deaths. The global pandemic today reaching a grim milestone, surpassing 10,000 deaths worldwide. President Trump invoked the Defense Production Act to get medical supplies on the front lines, as many medical professionals say they're running out of testing supplies. On Wall Street, the Dow slid down more than 900 points, ending the week with a more than 17% loss. In an effort to help struggling Americans, the federal tax deadline was pushed from April 15th to July 15th. Meantime, leaders in Congress are still trying to put together a $1 trillion economic rescue package. We're joined tonight by Washington, D.C. correspondent Morgan Wright. He reports that one of the major components of the latest coronavirus relief bill is a plan that would send tax rebate checks to each American adult making less than $75,000 a year.
Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says the Senate must move quickly to financially support Americans crippled by the coronavirus.
Senate Republicans want to put cash in Americans' hands.
Leader McConnell unveiled Senate Republicans' plan to do just that, legislation that would target Americans making less than $75,000 a year. It would provide up to $1,200 for individual adults and up to $2,400 for married couples, plus $500 per child.
This infusion of money would provide a little more certainty in this very uncertain moment.
But Senate Democrats want to go bigger and bolder with how much money Americans will receive.
I'm for an even more massive program. $2,000 payments right away, $1,500 this summer, and then another $1,000 if necessary, according to economic triggers, coming in the fall.
Connecticut Senator Richard Blumenthal and Massachusetts Senator Edward Markey say a big threat requires a big solution.
From my perspective, it should be $4,700 that goes to every family just for the next quarter, upwards of $18,000 for the year.
While lawmakers work on the details, McConnell says the Senate will work through the weekend to set up a vote next week. President Trump has signaled he's on board. Reporting in Washington, I'm Morgan Wright.
As the entire state of California remains on lockdown because of COVID-19, the city of Pomona will begin using a hotel to isolate people who either have the virus or may have been exposed. The Sheraton Fairplex Hotel will be transformed into a makeshift isolation facility. Los Angeles County has a lease agreement on the property until the end of May. While California has taken some of the most aggressive containment measures in the country. Samantha Cortese and Andy Reesmeyer from KTLA are joining us live now with the latest from the West Coast. Hi, guys.
Caroline, thank you. It is day one of a new normal. The entire state of California now under a mandatory stay-at-home order. Governor Gavin Newsom says it's crucial to slow the spread of COVID-19 for the next month at least. We want to show you some video from Southern California from earlier today. The Santa Monica Promenade, usually filled with tourists, completely barren as shops and restaurants have shut down. Residents are told that they can leave only for essential trips. Ocean Avenue and many other streets, usually clogged with traffic, completely clear. The Santa Monica Pier is empty as fears of an economic disaster for small businesses looms ahead. The stay-at-home order is an unprecedented move. Nearly 40 million people are now being asked to shelter in their homes. It's the largest and most restrictive order in the country. But despite what you can't do in California, there are some things that people can do. We have a screenshot here that full screen. Robert, if you want to pull that up for a second, it shows you these are all of the different different things that Southern Californian people are allowed to do, or rather the full state of California are allowed to do. Go to the grocery store, get medications, go to the bank, call a plumber, go to the gas station, or take public transit. In Washington, 1,376 cases. The healthcare system is stressed. The New York Times reports hospitals in Seattle are quietly planning triage strategies to determine who will get care.
And that's according to the New York Times. In Oregon, 88 cases have been reported. An explosive number of cases have emerged in California. The number of people battling COVID-19 has now reached 1,155, with new cases in Southern California rising rapidly. This is the map of the latest number of coronavirus cases in Southern California. 292 confirmed cases in LA County alone, Orange County 53. 101 new cases were reported in just the last 48 hours, and another Southern Californian has died, bringing the total number of COVID-19 deaths to 4 in one county alone. The median age we're seeing in all of LA County is 47. 138 people between 18 and 65 have been diagnosed positive, and Dr. Barbara Ferrer of the LA County Health Department has a warning to people who think they're too young to be affected by the virus.
That younger people, while they may have a better outcome if they're healthy, are in fact one of the largest groups of people that we have tested who are positive for COVID-19. And even if you're positive and you have mild illness, you can expose others. And that's something we want to avoid doing.
As more testing becomes available, the cases are expected to climb. As of Wednesday, 2,400 people were tested. 10% of those were positive. And now, as you've heard, hotels, RV parks, etc., are being converted to help with the onslaught.
Amid massive shutdowns in the entertainment industry, Netflix wants to do their part to help people who are out of work. The company announced that they set up a $100 million relief fund for unemployed entertainment professionals, including the thousands of crew and cast members without jobs. The fund will not only help out Netflix's own production crews, but $15 million will go to third-party and nonprofits like SAG-AFTRA, who provide emergency relief to out-of-work crews. Last week, Netflix was forced to halt production and suspend many workers because of the outbreak.
And for those of you familiar with the West Coast, this closure will show you just how seriously Angelenos and beyond are taking this safer at home order. Pink's is closing, the Hollywood landmark where you'll see people lined up for hot dogs all day and night, shutting down for the first time since it opened 80 years ago. Pink made the announcement on social media last night saying the mayor of LA is absolutely right. People are safer at home right now. They'll be back open April 19 with the same staff from when they closed yesterday. And they say if it's not April 19th, whenever the emergency order is lifted, that landmark will be back in business.
That's the latest here from the West Coast. Back to you.
All right, thank you guys so much. That report coming from KTLA in California tonight. Well, FedEx says it's working with the government and private health companies to provide transportation support for coronavirus testing. That includes delivering relief supplies to about 1,000 health centers and clinics. To help stop the spread of coronavirus, FedEx is also temporarily suspending most signatures that are usually required for deliveries in the U.S. and Canada. Well, let's head to North Carolina, where there's talk that the state is considering a shelter-in-place order. Angela Taylor from CBS 17 joins us live from Raleigh. Angela, is there any truth to that rumor?
So absolutely not. You know, we see what's happening in California and other states and communities, but there is not a shelter order in place right now in North Carolina. In fact, Governor Cooper made that announcement today, this afternoon, around 2 o'clock. He did add, though, that this is a fluid situation and changes will be based on what's happening in North Carolina and the safety of the public. But for now, it is business as usual. Caroline?
Well, Angela, what is the latest on testing people for COVID-19 in the state of North Carolina right now?
Okay, so right now the state, of course, is doing testing, and we also have UNC Chapel Hill, the medical center there, along with Duke University. We also have a private company called LabCorp. They're testing, and today they announced they can process 20,000 tests a day. That's actually double from last week. Of course, this means we will start seeing the number of people with COVID-19 increase. At this time, North Carolina has 144 cases. Today, we learned one of those people was a Duke hospital worker. However, Duke confirms that worker did not have any contact with any patients. And also new tonight, 2 people at Fort Bragg have been diagnosed with COVID-19. 4 patients are currently hospitalized. However, the state is not releasing much information about that. And because we have so many different places testing, we don't have an actual number of how many tests have been performed at this time. Caroline?
And Angela, we've heard the city of Durham is taking extreme measures to stop the spread. What exactly are they doing?
So the city of Durham now has 35 confirmed cases of COVID-19. It's one of the highest in North Carolina. So the mayor announced will be closed down until further notice. And then earlier this week, Governor Cooper announced that restaurants and bars would also be closed down except for curbside service. So that's what's happening here in North Carolina. And again, there is no shelter order in place. Governor Cooper is just going to keep an eye on the situation before making any announcements. Caroline?
All right, thank you so much. That's Angela Taylor with that report from CBS 17 in Raleigh, North Carolina. Well, here in New England, Massachusetts has reported its first death from the coronavirus. Health officials say he was an 87-year-old man from Suffolk County who had pre-existing conditions. In Rhode Island, Governor Gina Raimondo announced she was fully activating the National Guard. Reporter Ted Nesi tells us more about an urgent plea the governor made to all Rhode Islanders going into the weekend.
State leaders are asking Rhode Islanders only to go out for essentials during what they describe as a critical 2 days for containing the spread of the virus.
This has now become a 24/7 operation.
Flanked by Rhode Island National Guard Major General Christopher Callahan, Governor Gina Raimondo explains how she plans to use the Guard's 1,000 men and women to fight coronavirus.
This could be to staff our call centers, to help us with logistics, to deliver food, to help us continuing with the drive-through testing centers.
Another big decision, Rhode Island will join the federal government in delaying the tax filing deadline to July 15th, but the governor urged Rhode Islanders to pay sooner if they can.
We need to keep the government running. We need the funds in order to continue to provide these life-saving services.
All this as the number of COVID-19 cases in Rhode Island rises to 54 after 10 new positive tests overnight.
These people range in age from a pediatric case to a person in their 70s. We know that in this group, one person traveled recently to Estonia and one person also reported travel to New Jersey, which we are looking further into. All 10 of these people are recovering at home.
But concerns remain about a shortage of tests.
Right now, we're doing somewhere between 100 and 200 tests a day. We need to get to a place where we're doing between 500 and 600 a day.
Raimondo not ready to follow her counterparts in California and New York by issuing a shelter-in-place order, closing with a plea to residents to stay put Saturday and Sunday.
I feel more confident than ever. I can see the light at the tunnel, but I need you to hunker down this weekend and do what we've asked you to do.
The governor's team also looking at ways to help the hard-hit restaurant industry. They're currently examining whether restaurants could be authorized to sell takeout wine and beer. That's currently still under examination at this hour. At the State House, Ted Nesi, Eyewitness News.
All right, thanks, Ted. With all of the concerns surrounding COVID-19, it's hard not to get jumpy anytime someone sneezes or coughs. However, it's spring, and that means allergies. So how can you tell the difference? An infectious disease doctor tells us allergies affect the upper body. So think head, throat, nose, and itchy eyes. The doctor we spoke with said COVID-19 has little upper respiratory symptoms. So people who have it typically are not complaining of a runny nose or a sore or itchy throat. Most people with COVID-19 are coughing, feeling short of breath, and really exhausted with muscle aches and pains. As always, if you have any questions or concerns, be sure to call your doctor. And people who smoke or vape may be at an increased risk when it comes to the coronavirus. That's according to a doctor with the National Institute on Drug Abuse. He flagged the concern in a blog last week, explaining that because COVID-19 attacks the lungs, it may pose a more serious threat to those who smoke or vape. While the Midwest isn't seeing as many cases of COVID-19, that part of the country isn't immune from the economic impacts. Pat McGonigal from Fox 4 in Kansas City joins us live with more on that. Hi, Pat.
Hello, good evening to you. Yes, we are tracking coronavirus here in the Kansas City metro, and as of the last count, there are at least 59 diagnosed cases in Missouri. 3 people have died. In Kansas, 46 confirmed cases of the virus with 1 death. Health leaders are telling us in this part of the country, we're about 2 weeks behind the trends we're seeing on both the east and the west coast. But even so, our economy continues to really be affected. Kansas City-based Hallmark is closing 2 area plants because of the coronavirus. The temporary closures are at the plants in Lawrence and Leavenworth, Kansas. The shutdown starts on Monday, and a Texas plant will also close. Hallmark says employees will get extra personal time off while those plants are closed. And the Attorney General in both Kansas and Missouri cracking down on people trying to profit from this crisis, people dramatically hiking prices on items like cleaning supplies. Under a special Kansas law, the state can fine retailers $10,000 per item if they increase prices more than 25%. So far, Kansas has received about 25 reports of suspected price gouging. Missouri's received more than 50 complaints.
Certainly, there are going to be some market fluctuations based on supply and demand, and that is, that's not atypical. But what we're really looking out for is these dramatic spikes, particularly on essential items.
Now, Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt is also partnering with Amazon to investigate people who use that website to take advantage of people. The Attorney General in both states wants you to contact them if you suspect price gouging. In Kansas City, I'm Pat McGonigal reporting.
All right, thanks, Pat. Well, tonight the White House has released a public service announcement. In it, First Lady Melania Trump is reminding parents about ways families can stay healthy and how to talk to your children about the pandemic.
I encourage parents to let children know this will not last forever. Keep a positive attitude and try to create some time for fun with your loved ones. Please follow CDC guidelines, which can be found at coronavirus.gov or cdc.gov, along with other information and resources. Stay safe, and remember, while many of us are apart, we are all in this together.
The White House is planning to release other PSAs, including messages from Surgeon General Jerome Adams and top infectious disease official Dr. Anthony Fauci. In Colorado, the pandemic is bringing out some of the best in some people. With more information from the Midwest, let's go live to Aristia Brady from KDVR in Denver, who is on self-quarantine from her home.
Yeah, certainly am. Out of an abundance of caution here, coming live from my bedroom of all places. Health Department releasing the latest numbers on infections here in Colorado. And we know there are 363 confirmed positives. 44 people in total are hospitalized. There are 4 deaths also that have been reported, sadly, here in Colorado. Today, Governor Jared Polis announcing that businesses can deliver alcohol. They can even do takeout alcohol orders at this point, trying to help out those small businesses. He also extended our state tax deadline until July 15th. As you can see, I told you I'm at home. I got a little guy coming in here. A Colorado couple going above and beyond also to help stop the spread of the coronavirus. They're providing free testing for all 8,000 people in San Miguel County. My colleague Jeremy Hubbard has the story.
This is a national best-in-class model for how you aggressively test, and retest so that you can create safe zones and get people back to normal as quickly as possible, or whatever the new normal is,
From their Telluride kitchen, Lou Reese and Meme Hu explained why it is so crucial to get their friends, neighbors, and everyone in their entire Colorado County tested for coronavirus.
We get transparent and real data, and people are smart when they get that. They know what to do with it.
The longtime Colorado couple runs a group of companies called United Biomedical.
We've been in the industry for over a decade now, developing drugs, and the company cut its teeth on diagnostics. So we've been in it for a long time.
Just days ago, they got the idea to provide free testing to all San Miguel County residents. They approached the county about it Tuesday night. Testing starts just days from now, and they hope what they learn here about the virus and its spread can be applied everywhere. And they plan to soon roll out the same kind of testing around the country. What's the reaction in Telluride?
It brings tears to our eyes every day at some point in the day.
Overwhelmingly supportive.
Meme says this a lot, and I think it's really true. It's like, we're all distant right now, and we're all far apart. Spatial, even if we're outside, we're far apart, and it feels different, and we all know that. And that feeling, the way you beat that feeling is with love and with knowing that you can do something about it, and knowing that we need to be walking softly and being kind.
Jeremy Hubbard, Fox 31.
Yeah, pretty interesting. So here is how it's going to work. Testing will start next week. Residents do have to self-quarantine for a total of 2 weeks, and then they're going to get tested again. Then they'll know if a person actually has this virus or potentially are they fighting it. Companies just developed a coronavirus antibody blood test as well that was federally approved. That was just this past Monday, certainly on the progressive end of things. So again, the forefront of trying to fight it here in Colorado. Back to you, Caroline.
All right, thank you so much. That's Aristia Brady from KDVR in Denver, Colorado with that report tonight. Now, for all of you at home, we'd like to remind you what the symptoms of coronavirus are. Doctors say it's shortness of breath, a dry cough, and a high fever. If you're feeling these symptoms and think you could have the virus, you should call your primary care doctor or call ahead before showing up to a walk-in clinic or hospital to give staff time to prepare. And again, here are some of the best ways to prevent the transmission of coronavirus. Wash your hands frequently for at least 20 seconds. If you don't have access to soap and water, alcohol-based hand sanitizer can be used. Cover those coughs and sneezes with a tissue or sneeze or cough into your elbow. And of course, as we've heard many, many times, social distance. Stay at least 6 feet away from other people. Well, it is Friday, and after a tough week, we wanted to leave you guys all with something beautiful to look at. The cherry blossoms are in full bloom in Washington, D.C. The trees were a gift from Tokyo and are a symbol of the friendship between the United States and Japan. The 4-week Cherry Blossom Festival was supposed to start today, but was canceled due to the coronavirus pandemic. But of course, that can't stop us from admiring their beauty from afar. Well, the goal of our Nexstar family is to make sure you continue to get the latest facts on the coronavirus without the fear. We will be back at the same time on Monday night with stories from across the country. For now, I'm Caroline Goggin. Thank you for joining us.